Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we uncover the juicy bits behind those official corporate filings. Today, we're diving into Lake Superior Acquisition Corp's latest report to see what they've been up to. Before we dive in, if you're new here and love getting straightforward insights into company financials and strategies, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to discuss these findings with fellow enthusiasts, join our Discord community. The link is in the description below. This filing is basically Lake Superior Acquisition Corp, telling the US Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, what is new with them. Think of it as a quarterly update for the public eye. It's important because it tells us about major business events and agreements they recently entered into. The main reason for this report is to announce some big moves they've made, especially concerning their initial public offering, which we'll call the IPO. This is when a private company first sells its shares to the public, and it is a pretty big deal for any company. So, what is Lake Superior Acquisition Corp? It is what is called a Special Purpose Acquisition Company, or a SPAC. These companies are essentially shell companies that go public with the goal of acquiring or merging with another company. They raise money through their IPO and then have a set period, usually 2 years, to find a target company to merge with. If they don't find one, the money is returned to investors. We see here that their Class A ordinary shares, their units, and their rights are all traded on the Nasdaq Stock Market LLC. This means they are publicly traded and investors can buy and sell parts of the company. They are classified as an emerging growth company, which means they get to follow some slightly less strict rules, and they're not using an extended transition period for new accounting standards. The most exciting part of this report is about a definitive agreement they entered into. This filing confirms that on the 6th of October 2025, just after their registration statement for the IPO was approved, they solidified several key agreements. These are the foundational deals that make their whole operation run. First up, they signed an underwriting agreement. This is with Cohen Foodie Company Capital Markets, often referred to as CCM. This agreement is basically the deal where the underwriters agree to buy the IPO shares from the company and then sell them to the public. It is a critical step in a successful IPO. Then there is a rights agreement with someone called Efficiency. A rights agreement in this context usually outlines the terms under which holders of the company's rights can exercise those rights. Remember, rights are often attached to units in SPACs, giving holders the option to buy more shares later. They also have an investment management trust agreement with Efficiency. This agreement usually details how the funds raised from the IPO will be held in a trust account by an independent trustee. This money is typically set aside to fund the acquisition or merger and to protect investors. Now, this is where the real action happened. On the 8th of October 2025, the company completed its IPO, offering an impressive 11,500,000 units. They even fully exercised the over-allotment option, which means they sold more shares than initially planned because demand was high. That is a good sign. Let's break down what a unit actually is. Each unit they sold is made up of one Class A ordinary share and 1/7 of one. This right gives the holder the ability to get another ordinary share later, usually when the company finds and merges with a target business. The offering price was $10 per unit, and with 11.5 million units sold, that means they raised a massive $115 million in gross proceeds. That is a huge chunk of change and a significant indicator of investor confidence. And where did all that money go? As of the 9th of October 2025, the entire $115 million from the IPO and a related private placement was safely tucked away in a trust account for the benefit of their public shareholders. This reinforces the idea that the money is there to fund their acquisition plans. This next section talks about unregistered sales of equity securities, which essentially means selling shares that weren't part of the public offering. Right alongside the IPO closing, they also did a private placement. They sold 360,000 private units to their sponsor and CCM at the same $10 price, bringing in an additional $3.6 million. This is common for SPACs to bring in more capital from strategic investors before or during the IPO. It is important to note that these private placements were done under a specific section of the Securities Act that allows for sales without public registration, because, as the filing states, it wasn't a public offering. This means these specific shares weren't offered to everyone, but rather to specific investors. This part covers changes to the company's official rulebook. On the 6th of October 2025, they updated their amended and restated memorandum and articles of association. This is like rewriting their company, constitution and bylaws. Since they are incorporated in the British Virgin Islands, these changes were filed there. This is pretty standard stuff when a company goes through an IPO, aligning their internal structure with public company requirements. Finally, this section lists all the supporting documents, the exhibits, that are part of this filing. Here, we see a detailed list of all the contracts and agreements we've been discussing. The underwriting agreement with CCM, their updated articles of association, the rights agreement with Efficiency, various letter agreements with their officers and directors, the trust agreement, registration rights agreements, and private placement unit purchase agreements. These are all the critical pieces of paper that formalize the company's operations and its IPO. And finally, they mention an interactive data file. This is basically making the information in the filing available in a format that computers can easily read and process, a crucial step for transparency. The report is signed off on the 10th of October 2025 by Edward Kong Wang, who holds the title of Chief Executive Officer. This signifies that the company S leadership is formally acknowledging and submitting this information to the SEC now. Looking at this filing, Lake Superior Acquisition Corp is clearly in the early stages of its life as a public company. They've successfully completed their IPO, raising a substantial $115 million, and have put that money into a secure trust account. This shows a strong initial investor interest. The fact that they fully exercised their over-allotment option is a positive signal, indicating demand exceeded expectations. The key for Lake Superior Acquisition Corp now is execution. They have a limited time to find a suitable business to acquire or merge with. Their success hinges on their ability to identify a company that will create long-term value for shareholders. The risks here are always present with SPACs, the possibility of not finding a target within the deadline, or worse, merging with a company that doesn't perform as expected. The strategic agreements they put in place, like the ones with CCM and Efficiency, seem solid, providing a good foundation. In conclusion, Lake Superior Acquisition Corp has made a strong start by completing their IPO and securing significant funding. The direction is clear. They are actively seeking a merger target. Their current strength lies in their financial backing and investor confidence from the IPO. The primary risk is the inherent uncertainty of the SPAC model itself finding the right deal at the right time. We'll be watching closely to see what industry or company they decide to partner with. Alright, that is our breakdown of Lake Superior Acquisition Corp. S latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company? S future, drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.